Can you see me okay?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. It's me and Conall again. Got Rosie here as well. Do you want to talk a bit more football? How you doing, Conall? You all right, mate?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Yeah, man, not so bad. Been to Alton Towers today, mate.
Really?
Fucking amazing, to be fair.
Did you go on, what's that big one?
Oblivion.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I was so scared. I was so scared because you get to the top, and then like you can see down. Sorry, just giving that.
Yeah.
And it's stopped.
Isn't there like three, or am I thinking of the one up Drayton Manor, where there's like three different types you can go on? There's one with
Yeah.
one with a floor, one with no floor.
That's Apocalypse at Drayton Manor. It's similar to that, but
yeah.
the one at Drayton Manor is like you go up and drop, but this one is like you go up and then you drop. Oh mate,
It's quite metaphorical, really, isn't it?
Yeah, oh mate. Yeah, exactly. It's like the world of football going up and down and up and down.
No, I just meant like in terms of Alton Towers' superiority over Drayton Manor.
There's no competition. Alton Towers is
just a bit more innovation, you know.
Oh mate, they've got the Smiler, they've got Air, they've got Nemesis, they've got this new ride today called the Wicker Man. Apparently, the Wicker Man's like a film.
Yeah, it's got Nicolas Cage in it. It's literally like famously really bad. I think it actually might be a remake, to be fair, of like a quite good film.
Oh, mate, the Wicker Man the film might be shite, but the ride was fucking sick, mate. Mate, it's unbelievable. It's like I've never seen anything like it. It's like this massive roller coaster. The whole thing's made of wood. It's all made of wood. But yeah, it was good, mate. I had a good time.
I've never been to Alton Towers.
Yeah, wow. I would say I didn't know, but you told me about 10 minutes ago, and we had a phone call just before. Yeah, I do know.
cheers for
maybe we'll know one day. But I tell you, I told you this on the phone as well. But you used to be able to just do ride after ride after ride. But like, I felt sick after most of the rides today, which is a bit sign of age, I think.
Past prime.
Wisdom, though, doesn't it, Conall?
Exactly, mate.
So, Conall, want to talk about Tottenham? You're a Spurs fan. Spurs had a poor result on, was it Saturday?
Saturday.
Mate, poor result.
12:30 kickoff. So, rather than it being
what's the score?
7 o'clock on Sunday, 3-1, but it wasn't even like the score. It was just like the manner of the performance. And like to make things worse, like usually, even though we are, just quite bad at the moment, I usually look forward to Spurs, like always. I'm like quite buzzing for the game. It's quite sad, really. But then, obviously, because it was 12:30 on a Saturday, like obviously it came sooner than like it usually does. So that feeling of like being excited, was just gone like pretty quickly.
You had a bit of a lie-in, and then you get up and Tottenham were on.
Well, I actually watched it. I went to Pirate Studios with two of my mates, and I watched it there. So luckily, I was distracted.
You went to Warner Bros. Studios?
Nah, Pirate Studios.
Oh right, okay. So, is that what's that? Is that just like a bar sort of place?
Nah, like you basically just like rent the like studio space for like however long you want. And like me and like two of my mates just went there and we were just like mixing. And I just had it on the iPad, like propped up at the side. So luckily I was doing something, but if I just like dedicated my afternoon to that, I would have been fucking livid.
Yeah, well, I got a phone call from you in the evening when you were pretty fuming, to be fair, mate. You said, I just want to rant about Tottenham. Is that all right?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, sounds.
Oh, Fulham nearly scored.
Did they?
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so it was 3-1. I didn't watch the game, but it was Leeds. It was Leeds, wasn't it?
Yeah, Leeds, who, in fairness, like based on the way they played, really don't know. Well, I do know, but they should really be higher at the table. They've got quite a good team, really, really good. Like really, really good tactics, good formation.
You say
really, really, really nice style of football. Obviously, like it's a bit chaotic like before the game, it was going to be like a bit of like all Spurs fans knew what they were getting into, but I think they were kind of buzzing off like, well, I was anyway, off like, the week before beating Sheffield United 4-0, Gareth Bale bagging a hat trick. I think we all know how bad our defence is, but we know Leeds obviously have a bad defence as well. So I think we were kind of thinking, this could literally go one of two ways. Either there's going to be lots of goals in it and someone's going to win by the odd goal. Obviously it didn't go that way, but I'm sure we'll get onto that later on. But
well, I think
just
talking about Leeds quickly, I think that it's very bizarre because obviously when they came up, everyone was raving about Bielsa and the way he plays, and I think as a neutral, watching open games where literally Leeds are getting the ball and the first thing they're looking to do is to create a chance. It's fantastic.
It's great.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. But then they've just been so weird all season because with that style of play, the thing you think of straight away is you think, right, they're either going to win games like 4-3, 3-2, 2-1, or they're just going to lose games similar scoreline. And that was apparent. Remember the first day of the season they lost 4-3 to Liverpool?
Yeah.
Massive open game. I think it was literally the first game of the whole season. Then we beat them 6-2, so it's a similar sort of thing, mate. That game could have been 15-10. I remember.
Yeah, I watched that game. It was actually a really, really good game.
We missed so many chances.
They played really well, didn't he?
Mate, it was unbelievable. But then we drew 0-0 to them the other day, and they just did so well defensively. I was shocked. I was shocked because you think if they're so focused on attack, it's going to leave them open at the back, So if they're countering, the counter, they're going to get fucked over like that. But mate, we tried to break them down, and they were brilliant.
Well, that's the thing. I think no big six team has won at Leeds ground. Is at Ellen Road. No big six team has won there this season in the Premier League. Yeah. And I think obviously we all know the way Leeds play. It's obviously great to watch attacking football, and it was almost becoming a bit of a joke when they'd have these heavy losses, but people would still be the pundits and stuff are still saying, "Oh, Leeds are brilliant to watch." So we're all aware, obviously, they had quite a bad defense, but it's very like Spurs in the way with them, you never know what you're going to get, and they've had loads of injuries recently to some key players like Rafinha and Calvin Phillips have been injured, I think. So I heard from some Leeds fans that they were sort of having to adapt the way they played and obviously be a bit more structured in terms of conceding goals, because obviously Calvin Phillips is such an important part of that team, and stopping goals. And maybe perhaps
he played really well against us the other day.
He's a good player. I think he's been a bit hit and miss this season. I was expecting a bit more from him, but looks like he's going to be a good player.
He's got a few England caps. Right.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't take much to get an England cap these days at all, but he's played quite.
But no, he looks like he's going to be. I have a lot of faith in him, becoming a good player. He's got all the things you need. He's tall, he's strong, and apparently I don't know how correct this is, but I think my dad told me he used to play Burnley nearly scored as an attacking midfielder. So technically he's quite a good footballer as well.
Phillips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with saying all this, he was actually missing in the Spurs game. He didn't start the game, and Rafinha was on the bench as well. So obviously, going into it as a Spurs fan, fresh off the 4-0 victory, I was feeling quite I never want to be very confident about Tottenham at the moment, which is quite sad. But I was quite quietly confident. I thought we were gonna win the game, and I didn't say it. Oh, sorry, Burnley nearly scored again. I didn't say it to anyone.
It's funny because I'm a few seconds ahead of you, so I know you're about to react. There's something else you might react to in a minute. Just so you know. One sec.
Oh really, mate? Well, obviously if Fulham lose this game, Scott Parker, one of Tottenham's touted targets for the next manager, unfortunately.
That'd be a joke. What's he done? He's got Fulham promoted and then gone back down again. Like
we'll get back on. We'll get onto that later in terms of managerial stuff if we have time, if it comes up. But yeah, I mean, like it really doesn't fill me with much enthusiasm. I do like Scott Parker. I think he's a great guy, and Fulham. To be fair to him, like he's actually like got Fulham playing at times this season, but I don't want him as Tottenham manager. But anyway, back to the Spurs game, Spurs and Leeds. I was quite quietly confident, but then from the get-go, we've got the only player we had injured was Ben Davis, who isn't really a key member of the squad. Ryan Mason retained the same team. Ryan Mason retained the same team, which was interesting. It was really nice to see the same back four because under Jose Mourinho, you really never knew what you were going to get in terms of team selection and in terms of back four with Tottenham. So, I mean, even though like our back four is not very good apart from Toby, like it was just really nice to see like some like the same back four because all good teams are built on a regular back four, even though we're not a good team. But anyway, it was just awful from start to finish. From the get-go, Leeds came out pressing high, and all this stuff that Ryan. Oh, it's 1-0. Did you know it was 1-0?
Yeah, I saw it. Oh,
and all this stuff that Ryan Mason's been coming out saying, like, we're going to play the Tottenham way, we're going to be brave and whatnot. I mean, in the two like crunch games that he's had as manager so far, I have not seen anything to even,
Well, look,
I've not seen any evidence of this.
He's not going to get the job. He's not going to get the job.
No. Like, I don't like think he thinks he will. Like, to be honest, I don't blame him for absolutely anything. Like, he's just like coming to do a job while he can. I think in the grand scheme of things, he's actually doing quite a good job. In terms, he's obviously a bit out of his depth, but he's obviously. I really respect him for coming in and saying, yeah, I'll do it. And to be fair, I've seen aspects of improvement, like just in terms of the build-up play under Mason. I'd much rather watch Ryan Mason's Tottenham than Jose Mourinho's Tottenham.
Well, let's talk more about Tottenham rather than just the game on Saturday. Let's talk more about the season, the last season, and like where the club are right now. I'd say as an outsider, I feel Tottenham. This is me as an outsider. Okay, Tottenham. When I was a kid, were a team who finished in the top 7. Would you say most seasons? They had the odd season where they challenged for the top 4 and they'd like just miss out, but mostly they were a top half club. These were like these are your Robbie Lee, your Defoe.
It depends how far back you go. Like,
we're talking from when we remember, which would be like what 2004, 2005.
Yeah, well, that was about when Martin Jol was managing the Spurs, and he got us to 5th place finishes, and I think we finished 11th in his last season when Wendy Ramos took over.
Yeah,
I think you're right in terms of that. Like in the past 11 seasons, including this one, obviously we don't know where we're going to finish, but the previous 10, Spurs haven't finished outside the top 6. But prior to that, I'd say you're right.
But basically, roughly speaking, Tottenham, you can argue, from the peak of Poch, compared to then, the club have moved forward. You actually have. Oh, mate, sorry, the dog's doing one second. Mate, this is going to be a little bit of an issue. If you might have noticed, I'm feeding like the odd treat to her. She's doing my nutting. Right, she's sound now. The club's moved forward because you have a couple of world-class players in the squad. You can say that in Kane and Son right now. Yeah, you didn't back then. You had some decent players, but
I don't know. I think that's slightly harsh. I think we had some very good players.
Yeah, but world class,
and also some not very good players. I think Berbatov was a very, very good player. One of the best I've seen. But I had a season ticket.
But just hear me out here. Like these are players that came and went. It's the same with Modric. He had a couple of seasons and went. And then I mean, I don't actually remember Modric at Spurs so much, but I mean, you'll be able to tell me more. But he went on to be a world class player. He might have showed glimpses of being world class at Tottenham. But the point I'm getting at is Tottenham got to a point where they had a solid manager. They had a team that, for the state of the club and where they went to, was a very good team. You got to a Champions League final. You nearly challenged for the league. You did challenge. That's what but did you really challenge?
The season,
really challenge? Not really, because but basically.
Wait. How do we not challenge?
Well, like challenging is like going right to the end.
But we did go right to the end against Leicester.
Okay, well, yeah, but then you finished third.
Yeah, but like that was one of the last game of the season. Finished third. Like it was. I think that's quite harsh to say we didn't challenge that season. You know, up until that Chelsea game, we were right in it and I think that was the second last game of the season. Or third.
Yeah, but anyway, so we'll get back to Poch. Poch slowly built a top team. As you said, you had arguably Dele Alli at his peak at Spurs was arguably world class. Harry Kane's been a world class striker for a good 3-4 years now. Son's a top player. Like you have a good side. Poch is a bad season. He gets sacked. Now the club are in a position where they think, look, we've built all this way, and we've sort of what we've got in terms of money and the squad. I feel like we've sort of reached nearly the peak. But let's get someone in now. This isn't a long-term appointment. Let's get someone in now who can take what we've got and just get us over that line. Maybe even win a league. And that was in Mourinho. Mourinho came in and did what Mourinho does all the time, which is come in, bit of feel-good factor, does sort of well, and then the wheels just come off. Now the problem is
he scored a really good goal.
Yeah, what, the volley?
Yeah,
we've got the Fulham Burnley game on in the background, just so you know. He didn't get it over the line. He's left trophyless, and now Tottenham are left in a similar position to what United were left in when Mourinho left. Just hear me out quickly, because it's sort of like it's a squad, in my opinion, of a lot of players from sort of different sort of areas. So like obviously Poch had his team. Then in the summer before he left, he made some signings. Then Mourinho took over that, and then he made signings in the summer. And it's sort of like a bit of a not a mess, but it's a team that needs rebuilding. So like,
it is a mess. It is a mess, but
yeah, but
I don't think it's fair to put the blame all at Mourinho's feet.
I'm not doing that.
No, like because like as a Spurs fan, like a lot of Spurs fans, probably won't acknowledge this, but the wheels like started coming off for Tottenham like the second half of Pochettino's like last full season. I don't know if you remember, but we actually played against Burnley at Turf Moor. It was like January of 2019. And we lost 2-1, and Pochettino was like kicking off at the referee at the end. But after that, we didn't win an away game in the Premier League for like nearly a year. And a lot of the cracks were sort of papered over because obviously, we got to the Champions League final, and we had like there were these like
that is papering over cracks,
like Man City and the Ajax game, obviously. But the wheels were actually really coming off. Like if we'd been knocked out of the Champions League early, like I think Pochettino would have maybe been in trouble, because we were 13 points clear of 5th place, and right up until February, like I think we were something like 3 points behind Liverpool and Man City at the top of the table, and then like we dropped so many points towards the end of that season. We ended up getting 4th by 1 point, and it was quite lucky really, because we played Arsenal, and they had a penalty that Hugo Lloris actually saved, and the Tongan cleared off the line. But if VAR was around then, Arsenal probably would have been able to retake the penalty, because the Tongan was he was like in the box early. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, the point is like the wheels were really coming off, like in Pochettino's like his last season really. And to be honest, I don't blame Poch for that. I blame Mourinho for a lot of what's happened, but a lot of the players at Tottenham in the current squad are just not good enough.
So what do you think needs to happen now? Good enough. So what do you think needs to happen now? You're managerless going into another season. Oh mate, sorry. Yeah. This is the last time I'm sorting the dog out. Come here.
Oh mate, it's all right.
I know, but we got an audience. Come here. So yeah,
what a goal!
What's happened now,
mate? Chris Woods just banged it.
Yeah, I know.
Great goal.
50th goal for Burnley. But I tell you what, Burnley's a good example because like think of all the clubs that do well. Okay, unless you're Man City or Chelsea and you have money that you can just spend, or Real Madrid or whatever, stability brings you success. Do you agree with me? Just think.
Well, yeah,
think of Ferguson. Think of Wenger. Wenger in the early days. But look at Burnley. Burnley are the most overachieving club, like in the Premier League. I think in terms of is Burnley. How many straight seasons have they stayed in the league under Sean Dyche? It's stability. Tottenham's peaks, arguably, in terms of a long period of time over the last 20 years, have been under Martin Jol and Pochettino. These are yeah. But like in terms of long term, that's stability, and like that's what obviously Liverpool are trying to do with Klopp, or United are trying to do now with Solskjaer, and it's what Spurs need to do now. They need to get a manager in who can rebuild the squad, be given time, and create some stability. That's what I think needs to happen, and it will take a while. It will take a while, but that's what needs to happen.
Definitely, like that 100% needs to happen. But to be honest, I think the problem, like the manager thing, is obviously an issue that needs resolving. And I'm checking my phone every day, like hoping that it's resolved. But to be honest, I think one of the main things that needs to happen, like Daniel Levy's done great things for the club, and I want him. I don't want him out. Like I want him to stay. And in terms of transforming the infrastructure of the club and getting us to such a great point.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't really well. I want him to stay, but in terms of like you're saying, like stability. One of the things that he does get wrong and has got wrong, like throughout his tenure, is just the footballing stuff. Because obviously he has so much control at Tottenham. Like he in terms of business, like he's the best. He's the best around. And like getting a good deal, but in terms of recruitment, in terms of like the football side of things, he just needs to like take a step back from that. We need like a director of football or someone to come in and just take control of that side of it, because Daniel Levy is quite a stubborn guy, because the things that when things started to really go wrong at Tottenham, we had this guy called Paul Mitchell. You may remember him. He was the head of recruitment at Southampton, and then we poached him off Southampton, and he came to Spurs, and he signed loads of really good players. When he came, like lots of really good players. So this was 2000 and either the end of 2015 or some point 2016.
Yeah, so I actually sort of like remember that happening. What happened to him?
So Daniel Levy fell out with him. Apparently in his last year at Spurs, they weren't talking, and he basically put him on garden leave, which is where like you're basically employed by the club, but you can't do your job, and obviously you can't really go and get another job because you're on garden leave. So the only way you can get out of it is to find another job.
Garden leave? Does that just mean he's like a groundsman?
I wish it did, because then he'd still be around, but no. Daniel Levy and him fell out. Apparently they weren't talking, but to be honest, like I wish he just like sort of swallowed his pride and made up with him, because he brought in loads of really important players to Tottenham, like Victor Wanyama. Obviously he only had like one or two good seasons at Tottenham, but in his prime really great player at Tottenham.
What about players? What about players like who was responsible for Son coming in, for Van der Vaart coming in, for Modric coming in?
Son was.
Would that not have been? That would have been Levy. So
I think Son was. Son, I think, was Paul Mitchell. Van der Vaart, we used to have a director of football. We had Damon Comoli, we had Baldini. So I think Baldini was the one who actually signed Van der Vaart, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But since Paul Mitchell's gone, he's been replaced with this guy called Steve Hitchen. I don't know if you remember in the Amazon documentary. He's like the bold guy, very crusty looking.
I've heard his name.
Looks like he loves like egg and chips and gammon. Obviously, no offense if you like egg and chips and gammon, but Steve Hitchen is the classic egg and chips and gammon man. But anyway, you saw a picture of him, you know what I mean. But anyway, back to Steve Hitchen. He was credited with discovering Luka Modric.
Phil Mitchell.
Steve Hitchen. He looks a bit like Phil Mitchell, to be fair.
Oh no, Peter Hitchens is the journalist. What's his name again? Paul Hitchin.
No, Steve Hitchen.
Steve Hitchen. Oh yeah, I do remember him. Oh yeah, mate.
He's the head of recruitment at Tottenham Hotspur, and he said in a January transfer window,
loves gammon
I hate. Do you know what I mean? But he said so he's the head of recruitment at Tottenham Hotspur. He says to Amazon in the Amazon documentary that he hates the January transfer window.
Yeah.
This is the man who's handling our signings. So ever since Paul Mitchell's left, we've been signing players like Davinson Sanchez, who, in my opinion, has been one of the worst signings in the Premier League era for Tottenham. Serge Aurier, who I actually rate. I think he's got some good stuff. I don't actually dislike him as much as a lot of Spurs fans, but he is slightly error prone. He's not good enough. He's not good enough in terms of a replacement for Kyle Walker or Kieran Trippier, but I think he's a good player. I don't think he's any worse than Davinson Sanchez.
I think what needs to happen first is just get a manager in and get some stability, because that can change so much. Like mood can change so much. Just like,
exactly.
like us with Ollie. Just like us with Ollie, we were in the shits, and then we went like 12 games on the win on the bounce.
Yeah, and then to be fair to United as well, there's been a couple of points where Ollie's been under, the media, spotlight. You're going to say pressure, but stuck with him, and he's done a good job.
That's all bollocks. That's all bollocks though, because he'll lose 2 games in a row, and then they'll be like, oh, if he doesn't get a win the next game, he'll be under pressure. What do you mean under pressure? What does that mean? Is there like a special recipe for if you lose this game and then draw the next, you're going to get sacked? It's stupid. We're fans. We don't know what clubs are thinking, but no one's under pressure unless shit really goes to shit. Do you get me? Unless it's like a club that does sack like Chelsea. But even Lampard, that was coming, that sacking. You're right.
Isn't it?
Oh.
Lampard's
if Rosie was calm, I'd be way more settled. It's just it's life though, isn't it? That's what happens. Right, I'm gonna take. This is hopefully the last time I need to do it. But yeah, so would you agree with me that Tottenham just needs to get a new manager? Let's talk about candidates now.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, it's becoming a bit of a circus in terms of who's going to be the next Tottenham manager, and again, I think this is one of the things that you can sort of look at Daniel Levy and maybe sort of give him a bit of the blame, I suppose. I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily want to work under this glass ceiling. I
disagree. Tottenham's an attractive club, because do you know what I mean? Not everyone's Chelsea or Man City or Man United.
But I mean, in terms of you're always I mean, like in terms of at Tottenham, you're always going to be limited. That's what I mean by glass ceiling. You know,
Yeah, you're right.
You can only spend what you generate, or you know, if you sell players. Very rarely do we sort of push the boat out and spend like big money. When we did, it was because of a long Champions League run, and arguably it's not really worked out.
Yeah, but it's still attractive enough because, like, I mean, say even if Kane goes and like Son stays, for example, you still got a world-class player to work with there, and like a squad that obviously needs refreshing. But you know, you can do that without spending too much money and still make a great side. Like, I think what a problem is like, I think Brendan Rodgers would be a brilliant appointment because, like, you know, what he's done with Leicester has been fantastic. I mean, I will talk about his one flaw in a minute, but I mean, I don't want to give him too much praise for what he did at Celtic because, like, do you know what I mean? You could have done that, but
yeah.
Like, you know, let's talk about Leicester. Like, what he's done is fantastic. Like, Leicester, mate. Like 10 years ago, Coventry were a bigger club than Leicester. Wow, similar size club.
Well,
listen,
I mean,
my point is, he's going to have to sacrifice Champions League with Leicester potentially next season to drop down. To potentially no European football with Tottenham. They should get Europa League, but it's all up in the air. But you get me?
Europa Conference League.
Luckily, mate, honestly, if United ever qualify for that, they should just say we're not playing in it. We're not,
mate.
We're not playing.
If we qualify for it.
Yeah, just not. I'm not going. I'm not going to like fucking Amsterdam.
Like, side note, like, I'd rather have a season out of Europe than play in that competition. Because,
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
I mean, obviously, I don't think we'd win the league by a long stretch of the imagination, but, you know, when Chelsea won the league under Conte, they didn't have any Champions League football. And when Leicester won the league, they didn't have any Champions League football or any European football. So,
True.
You know, it might potentially benefit us in terms of league position. I don't think this squad is anywhere near good enough to actually win anything.
Yeah. But like, what I was going to say is, like, you know, Spurs are clearly a bigger club than Leicester, clearly, but it's not like he's leaving Leicester in the Champions League to go manage like Man United or Barcelona, who are like struggling. It's Tottenham, like you said. Like, oh my god, this is doing. Oh, I'm sorry again, viewers, but no. You want to go to bed? You want to go to bed? Okay, no, come on, go to bed. There's nothing up there. There's nothing up there at all. There's nothing up here. Basically, like, Rosie can, like, she's got this ball that she can like smell and she loves it. But the problem is, if you give it to her, it goes like under the sofa, and then she like tries to scratch it out and then starts going. So like, yeah, I've just hidden it away from her, but now she's a bit like, oh, have you got it? And I'm like, no, I ain't got it. If you bark, you'll go to bed. She won't actually, but like, she reacts to that.
But yeah, what were we saying?
I don't know. Something about like Brendan Rodgers. But let's talk about Brendan Rodgers. Great manager. He is a great manager. But maybe I think I mentioned this with Ethan the other week. Like, if he bottles it with Leicester again this year by not qualifying for the top four, because he should finish fourth. But if he doesn't, that means he bottled it this year. He bottled it last year. And he bottled the league with Liverpool in 2014.
This is the thing, like,
this is like where you're proper tested as a manager.
Like,
you get me? It's similar with Pop.
That added in with like Tottenham is not like it doesn't really fill me with much hope.
Yeah, I know.
Obviously, I think Brendan Rodgers he's done a great job at Leicester, like you said, and he's a good manager. I actually like him, but he's actually not really like I don't actually really want him because,
Really?
you know, like I said, it's just because like he's like a bit of a bottler, and we are the bottlers.
Yeah.
If we were a band, we'd be the bottlers, and he'd be the lead singer if he came. So like, I just think it'd be a bad combination. Like if we were in a cup final and I saw Brendan Rodgers, I'd be like, oh, we're gonna lose.
He's got one. He's got one at the weekend.
Yeah, but like, to be honest, like right now the candidates for the job. So let's go through them. Who like this is the thing. There is
just mention the serious ones.
It's like a game of mate. I can't. It's like a game of guess who. Literally,
Yeah.
like I don't know who's going to be the manager. Every day there's a new candidate. So the serious ones, all the ones we've been
just
linked
so
with.
you know, she's calm now. She's calm.
That's calm.
Yeah.
So I'll read you all the candidates we've been linked with
Mhm.
in the past two weeks. One sec.
Is one of them David Moyes?
Thankfully, no.
David Moyes is reborn. If you get David Moyes and sign Lingard, mate.
So
we mean in business.
So the first one who was like very strongly linked with the Tottenham job, which kind of seems a bit bizarre now when you think about it, was Julian Nagelsmann. And
but that's
sorry?
done. That's gone.
Yeah, he's Bayern man.
Then a
There's
Bayern.
absolutely no way he's gonna be, obviously. But to be honest, like as a Tottenham fan, I was hoping and praying that we got him, but I always kind of knew we wouldn't. And then my second choice after him, not by much, was Erik ten Hag at Ajax. He seemed like the obvious candidate after. What was that? Sorry.
Sorry, no. Sorry, I just keep talking.
Oh yeah, he seemed like the obvious candidate after Nagelsmann. But then obviously, yeah, Fabrizio Romano confirmed that we'd started negotiating with him, and I was getting quite excited. Literally within a day, so I went to bed, happy man, like Tottenham are gonna. Fabrizio Romano tweets, Tottenham are gonna negotiate with Erik ten Hag. I'm like, hey, we're back in business. And then literally within a day, it comes out that he's extended his contract at Ajax.
Mate, he said we signed Sancho about 29 times last summer. I don't know about you, but I ain't seen him at United yet.
I haven't seen him yet.
You've got to just wait until it happens. I remember once, like, this would have been like when we had Van Gaal, but like, I remember just watching Sky Sports News, and like, Gillen Ballagay was like on the phone, and he was like, I've got some breaking news, like like Sergio Ramos has like gone into the Real Madrid president, and he said like, I am leaving and I am signing for Man United. And I was like, oh. And he was like, yeah, he said this is happening. And I was so excited. And then the next day he got like made Real Madrid captain. I was just like, fuck's sake. Bollocks, mate. Absolute bullshit. Ridiculous.
If that happens to Man United, because you get linked with every man and his dog.
Mate, don't. We'll talk about United maybe after this, or we can do it in another episode.
Yeah, I'd love to.
I'd love to do. Actually, we could do a whole episode dedicated to United. I'd love to talk about the Glazers and stuff, but we can also talk about the state of it. I mean, I'm sure that will come into the conversation, the state of the team now. But yeah, let's talk about Tottenham today. We'll talk about United. Maybe.
So then after that, Erik ten Hag, and then obviously, he apparently what happened was he had a meeting with Daniel Levy, and the quote from Fabrizio Romano was, "It was not a good meeting," which basically means he spoke to Daniel Levy and thought, "Fuck this."
Not a good meeting.
Yeah.
They just didn't offer him a drink or anything.
The story that's being told is that actually Daniel Levy wasn't too keen on him, but I don't believe that for a second. And yeah, obviously Ajax activated this clause in his contract, so they extended his contract for a year. And then after that, it really wasn't It's like as a Spurs fan, you know, at the start, my dad was saying to me, I'd maybe have Eddie Howe, and I was like, absolutely no way would I let that happen. Well, obviously I can't let it happen, but I would go mental. I would not be happy with that. Absolutely no chance. And it's literally, I can feel my expectations being lowered and lowered and lowered and lowered. And now I feel like I'd maybe take him because we don't have a manager. Yeah. But the serious candidates now. So after Eric Ten Hag, I was like, right, who do I actually want to be Tottenham manager? I literally don't. All these people don't want any of them to be Tottenham manager. I don't want Brendan Rodgers really. I do. I think he's a good manager.
Would you have Rodgers or Howe?
I'd have Rodgers probably over Eddie Howe. I do like Rodgers, but yeah, it's like I said. I don't know if he win trophies with us, but
yeah.
But yeah.
You do sometimes have to take a step back though to move forward, don't you?
Exactly.
I know Tottenham definitely need to with the state they're in.
Exactly. Well, like we were on such like an upward climb, you know. 2019 when the Champions League final, finished in top 4 for the 4th or 5th consecutive season. I think it's the 5th. I might be incorrect. And also made a £137 million revenue, which is obviously pretty good going. It's kind of the way to run your football club, and it's just gone so terribly wrong. But then after Ten Hag, you know, I was like, who do I actually want to be manager? The next name that popped up was someone I'd never heard of, called Ralph Rangnick. And after reading about him, I was like, I want this guy to be my Tottenham manager.
Who is he?
And mate, to be fair, he's actually a bit of a genius. He's like German Bielsa. So he was manager of I think it was Schalke, Hoffenheim. He got Schalke to the Champions League final. He's credited as the quote unquote godfather of gegenpressing.
Yeah.
You know, like the
yeah, I know the gegenpress.
Like gegenpress, like the way like Liverpool play and a number of other teams, and he's credited for influencing Jurgen Klopp, Thomas Tuchel, Julian Nagelsmann, and Ralph Hasenhüttl. But he's more of a director of football. Like he hasn't managed properly for 10 years. He's managed at Leipzig for a couple of seasons, but he managed but he's been director of football at Leipzig, and he's discovered loads of good players. Like he discovered Firmino and Haaland and whatnot. But he's probably not going to be. What are you doing?
What?
Did you say 1 sec?
No. I was about to say, what's the crack with him then? Like,
Oh yeah, well no, he's so like nothing's come about. I don't think he's going to be Tottenham manager because he's 62 years old. Doesn't really fit the profile. I'd love it if he came as director of football. But yeah, like I said, my expectations are being lowered and lowered and lowered. And now, exactly what the candidates now are looking like Graham Potter, who, to be fair, like his Brighton team play really good football. I don't know if you buy much into the expected goals stat, but they are 4th in the table for expected goals in the Premier League, which is quite mental, considering his like squad.
How does expected goals work?
So it's basically like, I don't actually really know the actual way they figure out, but it's basically like so per game, based on like the chances that were created, the goals that were expected in that game. So there's a real argument that if Brighton had someone that could actually score goals on a fairly consistent basis,
well, like Danny Welbeck,
mate, my friend has just messaged me saying, would you have Sean Dyche at Spurs?
Mate. Sean Dyche is peng.
He's done an absolutely amazing job. But then, you know, if we're going to go for someone like Sean Dyche, then, you know, someone like Eddie Howe would probably be as good, if not better. And I'll get onto that in a second. But yeah, Graham Potter's Brighton, they play really good football. They don't have a striker. So there's a real argument for like if they did have one, they'd probably be higher up the table. And at first, again, like Eddie Howe, you know, because his name was Graham Potter, I was very much like, I don't want this happening.
Do you think? I'll tell you what's interesting. Like, if these managers were Spanish or Italian or German, and they'd done decent jobs with lower Italian, Spanish, German clubs,
or even English,
I think they'd be given so much more respect and not laughed at.
Yeah, mate, 100% agree with you. 100% agree with you.
You know, Sam Allardyce said if his name was Sam Allardyce, he'd be like doing so much. Like his career would have hit heights it hasn't hit.
I do agree with that. I do agree with that, to be fair.
Because
but I think it's just like, like
it's to do with the nature of English football, isn't it?
Exactly. That's what I was trying to say. Like, when you think of English football, even though it's really not the case anymore, but like back in the day, it's like long ball, big Yetis, like winning headers.
But it is interesting though, because like I know these are British managers, but some of the greatest managers of all time, Shankly, Busby, Ferguson, Paisley, these
Bill Nicholson.
Paisley was English, but these are was he? Well, Paisley was English, wasn't he?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, but it's more of a modern thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it would be interesting. I just from like gut feel, which you shouldn't always go off, but consider I think Eddie Howe could do quite well at Spurs.
Well, this is the thing. So, like, I was very much opposed to Eddie Howe, and I was also very much opposed to Graham Potter. But, the expected goals thing was obviously something for me where I was like, oh, that's quite interesting. And then when you actually watch Brighton play, they play really good football. So it'd be interesting to see what he would do with better players. The only thing is, could you see him actually handling, like the personalities and whatnot? But on Eddie Howe, he got Bournemouth, who, with the greatest respect to Bournemouth, they weren't a Premier League club in terms of like, their ground, and traditionally like
one of their stands to this day is like a temporary stand.
Exactly, and like
it shows how small the club is.
It's like a testament to the great job he did at Bournemouth.
Yeah, exactly.
He got them into the Premier League from League 2, I think, which is obviously amazing. He's managed over 500 games, and the thing is, like, even though he got them to the Premier League, but it wasn't really like they were ever really in massive danger of getting relegated until the last season he was manager. And the thing is, he did all this whilst playing a really exciting brand of football. And every season he finished in the Premier League, I think he consistently finished 14th 4 seasons in a row with a very similar points finish. So, there's a level of consistency there. Obviously, things tailed off in his last season, but he had injuries and whatnot. But in terms of the job he did at Bournemouth, keeping them in the Premier League for that long is a real achievement. So it would be interesting to see how he would handle
a bit like Sean Dyche now with Burnley. But then, but like you said, like Sean Dyche will get laughed at even more than Eddie Howe would at the Spurs job. But then do you reckon that's just because he's like some old guy with a funny voice?
I think
seriously,
so,
seriously, because that will come into play. But
I think so. I think also
he's done an incredible job.
I think because of the brand of football as well, like Burnley, again, with the greatest respect to Burnley, he's a fantastic manager. Sean Dyche has done a great job, and they're always a very, very tough opponent. But it's not necessarily the most exciting brand of football.
No, I know.
So I think that's something to do. But yeah, I think his voice and just like his character is part of it as well. But he's a funny guy, man, to be fair. But in terms of who I would want to be Tottenham manager, my answer for you right now is I really don't know. In terms of the candidates that we're linked with, I think it would probably be Brendan Rodgers or maybe even Graham Potter.
Wow.
Which I can't even. Yeah, or I suppose Eddie Howe as well, maybe.
Why not though? Like, as I said earlier, if these managers get time and get the club into a stable position, why can't they do well? And like
exactly. When Pochettino before he came to Tottenham was he was one of these managers managing like Southampton. To be fair, like he finished 5th with Southampton, but even so, like it's a smaller job than managing a team like Tottenham.
Yeah, but
I could have never ever predicted what happened at Tottenham under him would have happened
with Poch.
Yeah, never ever.
So what were his league finishes?
5th in his first season, 3rd in his second season. On the last day of the season, we lost 5-1 to Newcastle because it just kind of shows the mentality of some of the players in the team. Just capitulated after we lost that game to Chelsea. Second in his 3rd season with an 86-point finish. I believe it's the second highest points tally for a second place team, and would have actually won you the league in a number of seasons. And then then the season after that, he finished third, and then fourth, and then obviously he got sacked last season.
So,
but he also got us to like a number of cup finals.
But did he? Here's a. This is just me playing devil's advocate. I think he did well at Tottenham, but
oh no, he did great.
Did he really improve Tottenham that much? Because on average, that he's probably only improved you like by a league position or two from where you were before, and he didn't win anything. He didn't win a thing. Well, but you can say he got to finals, but he won nothing.
In terms of improvement, I think he definitely did, yeah, because in a number of ways, like, you know, in terms of like feeling connected to the manager of your club, I've never ever felt as connected to a manager of Tottenham as I have to him, and I feel like that's something that all Tottenham fans feel.
What
and
about that
also,
connection with like Ramos?
Yeah.
Did he just like didn't even speak English?
I had a real connection with Tim Sherwood. But no, like in all seriousness, there was a real feeling of when he was at Tottenham. It was a real like feel good factor. You know, everything like felt like it was so on the up, and I feel like he definitely improved us. Definitely like getting us consistent top four finishes. You know, breaking into the top four from being like like a Europa League team every season is such a big step. And actually, being like getting consistent finishes in the top four is definitely a real sign of improvement. And I mean, like if you really like stretch your mind back, playing Pochettino's Tottenham in their prime was a very, very, very tough game for all teams in the league.
Yeah,
absolutely no doubt about it.
Again, I'll try to play devil's advocate again, but like those couple of seasons when you did arguably peak, so when Leicester won the league and the year
season after,
everyone was poor. United were poor, Liverpool were poor, City, well, were poor in terms of where they are now.
See, I feel like
now Poch
necessarily true.
And Poch is about to finish second in a one-horse race this year in France. I'm joking. No, I'm not joking. That's true. But, Poch is obviously a good manager. But then again, like it's just, it's similar to Rodgers in the sense that, when he's been given the opportunity to win, which he has on a numerous occasion, he's bottled it every time.
Yeah, that is the thing.
Every single
but then this is the thing. Like, so after Pochettino, I do honestly feel usually.
I bowled it against City as well the other week in the Champions League. But yeah, carry on.
But usually with management like appointments, when someone gets sacked at Tottenham, generally he has like a plan in place. But I genuinely feel like when he sacked Poch, he didn't have a plan in place because I don't think he wanted to sack him. But based on our league form, something had to be done.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't think he wanted to sack him, but then getting Mourinho in he was very credible for one. He was also a free agent, and he was also a serial winner.
Wow.
In terms of that winning, the thing that's always been on Spurs' back, which people always put on us, is if you haven't won a trophy in like 14 years or whatever now, and getting Mourinho in, I thought it was guaranteed we'd win at least something. I didn't even, to be honest, that's the thing. I don't care about winning the League Cup or whatever. I'd rather have top four than win the League Cup. I'd rather probably get top four than win the FA Cup, to be honest.
Really? Well, I was talking to, Jack Ashford. He's a Spurs fan. He was saying, like, he just wants to win something now.
I want to win something.
But that's like, he was saying, it seemed as when he was saying it, like that was all that mattered. And this was before the Carabao Cup final. So this was like a couple of weeks ago, but he was of the nature. So, it does differ. But we touched upon it earlier, like getting Mourinho in was just a massive, massive gamble. It was almost like, someone had like over time and time, like sort of like, built up money slowly. They've been working really hard. And then like they got to like the end of the year and they were like, I'm just gonna put a massive bet on now and see if I can double it. And they fucked it. That's pretty much what happened. But you know, I think it wasn't like, it was way more than a risk than you'd think, because like you said, you think, Spurs, Mourinho will win you something. But
I
like,
didn't think he wins the league.
He'd just come off the back of just causing massive toxicity at United.
Yeah. But you see, I was actually under the impression when he was at Man United that I was under the impression that it was actually not his fault for a lot of what happened. But wrongly, I'll put my hands up now, I was incorrect.
Yeah, but he wasn't backed at either clubs. He wasn't backed at either clubs.
What, United and Spurs?
No, he had one big season at United, one big summer where he signed Pogba, Lukaku, and then the summer after, I don't know. I think it was Pogba one summer, then Lukaku, but then his last summer he just got Fred, and that was it.
Yeah, and
he was backed a bit. I don't know.
This is the thing. He was kind of backed to Spurs as well, but not to the point that Mourinho needs to be backed to have that success.
Exactly. Like at Chelsea, both times.
Yeah, exactly. Like, like in order to be successful with Mourinho, you need to get like a certain type of player in, of which there isn't many at Spurs.
I know. It was just pure.
Like, the only one that is really like a Mourinho type player, I'd say, is Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, who was a good signing.
And Eric Dyer.
But he's just been very hit and miss.
And Harry Winks.
Harry Winks can get in the bin. Harry get
in the bin.
Like, it's interesting you say that about like not being backed, like, because Mourinho is this is the thing with Spurs. Like, it's always like, like we almost did it. Do you know what I mean? Like, he was almost backed. Like, we signed 6 players last summer, and it was started off really well. Like Højbjerg, I was a bit like, I'm not really necessarily sure that's a great signing. Turned out to be a really, really good signing. Players like Sergio Reguilon, I was really excited about, who's been terrible in the second half of this season, but was very good at the start.
I find it funny.
Bale,
like, we nearly signed him, and then you signed him,
Reguilon.
and he played really well at the start of the season. I was like, now I'm just like, it's funny.
Yeah, he's been really bad recently. Bale, obviously, although it's obviously, as I'm sure we're all aware, definitely wasn't a Mourinho signing. But, you know, I was thinking that's a big move from Spurs, bringing Gareth Bale back to Tottenham.
I don't think it was. I think it was like...
stretch your mind back. Like, this is you thinking now based on what's happened this season. But, like, if you stretch your mind back to, like, what happened, like, when he came, like, I think it was a huge deal. Like, it was all over the TV and stuff.
Yeah, but I disagree. Because he just didn't play for Real Madrid for like 2 years, and he was just being like a miserable knobhead. And like he came on, you know, like obviously he scored that like world-class goal in the Champions League final, but like that season he did nothing. He'd fallen out with Zidane. He was just throwing his toys at the pram. I thought he'd flop. I genuinely did think he'd flop, and he arguably has. You know, like he showed glimmers. Like he scored a hat-trick the other day.
He hasn't really been given the opportunity, you know, like. So he's played 17 games this season, and he scored 9 goals in the league. Again, another funny stat. Eric Lamela, who was brought in to replace Gareth Bale, has scored 17 Premier League goals for Tottenham ever. And Gareth Bale's on 9 in the season.
Not bad though.
Who, Bale?
Lamela. No, he's been poor.
Well, I think Lamela is
a long time.
Lamela pretty much sort of.
It's interesting.
Lamela is literally the signifier of like everything wrong at Tottenham. Why are players like Eric Lamela, who's done absolutely nothing for 8 years, still at Tottenham? Why are players like Moussa Sissoko still at Tottenham? Why are players like Harry Winks still at Tottenham, getting a game in the League Cup final? He's not good enough to play for Tottenham. He's not good enough to play for any top 16. Wouldn't get into any top 16 midfield.
Yeah, mate. But again, this was like a United. It's like we had so many players at the club that just needed clearing out, and this will happen at Spurs now under your new manager. You just need stability, mate. But let's just a couple more things I think we should ask, because obviously we talked about Tottenham like on this episode, if you like. But
yeah,
a couple more things just to mention. Harry Kane. He's been he's arguably with Lewandowski. I'd say they're the two best strikers in the world at the minute. Obviously, Lewandowski's been injured for a while, but what's going to happen? What do you think will happen? And what do you hope will happen? Because I'll just obviously you're the Spurs fans. I'll let you talk, but I'll just quickly make a point. I think selling Harry Kane, because United won't sign him, but he's been linked with us. City could sign him, or he could go abroad. But he's going to go for a lot of money. And as he said, Daniel Levy's good at making transfers. He's good at getting a lot of money for players, and then that's an extra 140 million, which with your owners, not like ours, will be spent on the club. I know you might, but yeah, I think it would be a good opportunity to sell him and then help do the rebuild. This
is the thing. Like, we're sort of back into the corner in terms of, I don't really know what's going to go down here. Like, because he's got 3 years left on his contract.
He can't stay there.
I can't bring myself to say I want him to go, because I love him there, obviously, but I do feel bad for him. It's like a hostage situation. I think, like, he's got 3 years left in his contract. The only way he's going to go really is if someone, like puts the money where the mouth is, and that's one thing Daniel Levy is really good at, is squeezing every single bit of like every single part of like a transfer fee he can get out. He'll squeeze it until it's dry. Yeah, exactly. So if he does go, he's going to go for huge money, like
between 100 and 150 million. 100%.
I think more than that. I honestly think it'll be between 150 to 175 million. But
even after like a pandemic, well, I guess if a club like
PSG or I'm not saying he's necessarily worth that, but Daniel Levy, the way he operates, he's the toughest negotiator. Like, there's no way.
It's all just relative, isn't it? It's all just
exactly. And either way, it's going to be a huge fee. And this is the thing, like, all these players that I've listed off, who I think need to go, players like Eric Lamela, Musa Sissoko, Harry Winks, Davinson Sanchez. Who else? There's loads. Who else? This is the thing, like, we're not going to get any money for them, because who's going to buy them? Who's going to buy these players? Everyone's seen how bad they've been for like the past 2 seasons.
I know, you need to get them off the wage bill. It's like us with Rojo, Smalling, players like this. You just got to get them out. Darmian, you just got to get them out. Phil Jones is still at Man United. We still pay him like a lot of money. Yeah, exactly. And I think he played once last season. Oh, but yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? Like, if he does go, we're going to get a lot of money for him. It is going to be reinvested in the squad, but then I don't necessarily trust Tottenham to reinvest that money well, because
you haven't well recently, have you?
Exactly, we haven't. Like I touched on like before, and Steve Hitchen, I think he's stealing a living.
The Celso players like that, like
this is the thing. I haven't even touched on the Celso. I was so excited when we signed him. What a terrible signing he's been. He's done absolutely nothing. He's one of the most frustrating players I've ever seen at Tottenham. To the point where I do think he's got some good qualities, but like his decision making is terrible. I'm a bit far behind you. His decision making is terrible. Can
I just say? Do you think this is just a football topic? Whenever like a goalie just gets touched and drops the ball, it's a foul. Do you agree with me that that's ridiculous? Just think of like, it happens all the time. Like, a keeper tries to catch the ball when they're in no like, just, do you know what I mean? It's not like they're what's their right to catch the ball, and like there's a little bit of contact, they bottle it, drop the ball, and it's a foul. It's not a foul. You should have just punched it and stopped. Like, do you know what I mean? Goalie get overprotected, I think, in football. Just a side point.
Something similar. Definitely in the Premier League. Definitely in the Prem.
You'll see it in a minute.
I've just seen it.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not a foul. I just punch the ball away, and it's not your right to catch it. You're allowed to use your hands. The players can only use their heads. Do you get me? You got a massive advantage already.
But
we lost the league because in 2013 because of De Gea keep dropping the ball against Blackburn. But yeah, anyway.
It was
2012.
2012, wasn't it?
2012, yeah. Mate, just an interesting stat for any United fans watching. So, 2010, we lost the league to Chelsea because of a Drogba offside goal. If that didn't happen, and Aguero's last-minute winner that drew them the league didn't happen, we would have won 7 leagues on the bounce. That's mad. They're all ifs.
Clutch at straws, really.
But the Chelsea one, VAR, we win 5 leagues in a row. But yeah. Back to finish up on what we were saying about.
I don't necessarily trust Tottenham to reinvest the money like well. You know, I don't know if you remember, but when we sold Gareth Bale for £86 million,
I know
we signed 7 players, who, quite frankly, 6 of them. Well, one of them was all right. One of them was a very good player, Christian Eriksen, who's just gone on to win the league after leaving Tottenham.
Roman Pavlyuchenko.
Nah, it was like the players like Eric Lamela.
I know. I just said, like, do you remember him?
Vlad Kirikesh. Who did you say? Do I remember?
Pavlyuchenko.
Oh yeah, of course I do.
So paying.
I
used to get. He was like, you had Pavlyuchenko and Arsenal had Arshavin. Feel like they were like, they're both Russian.
Yeah, we tried to sign Arshavin and he went to Arsenal instead.
Yeah, we can talk about the demise of Arsenal as well. You'll enjoy that.
Yeah, I would love to.
Mate, there's actually so many things we can talk about. We should like. But yeah.
What was what was the question in terms of?
So the question was, what's going to happen with Kane? And you know, I said what I thought, but then you were just saying then you don't know if you trust Spurs with the money.
I don't. Yeah, I really don't know unless we get like a director of football. If we did, the only way I would feel a bit better, I would never feel happy about saying Harry Kane. If we had a director of football who I think like could be trusted with that money, then I would feel a bit better about the situation. But as far as I stand, obviously I'd never want Harry Kane to leave. I'm not sure. I couldn't tell you what's going to happen. I mean, it really does depend on if someone puts the money up. You know, it's post-pandemic and he's got 3 years left of his contract. Daniel Levy's going to squeeze everyone dry.
I think it's a good time to sell him as well before he starts to get old. Do you get me?
Yeah, I mean, he's 28.
Perfect time.
I want to keep him and I want him to stay at Tottenham, obviously, till he retires. But I do just feel a bit bad for him because he does deserve to win the league, and I can't see us winning the league anytime soon. But yeah, obviously you were saying you don't think United will sign him after Cavani signing a 1-year extension. I know that doesn't necessarily rule them out, but yeah, I'm not sure if I can see United spending that much on Kane. Maybe I feel like they're more likely to do it than City because I feel because City don't really spend like that much money on one player.
But they do. They do. They're
not on one player.
No, but I swear they've spent like 80 million on defenders. Or
no, they've never. I don't think they've ever spent more than like 70 million on a single player.
Yeah, but like, do you know what I mean? It doesn't mean they're not gonna, mate. They'll sign like £60 million players a window. It's ridiculous, mate. Honestly, again, Man City we'll talk about another time, but I don't know. But like you said, we're not going to sign him.
Well, I don't know. I think you're more likely to do it than City. But
I just think,
no offense, but I really hope it doesn't go to United.
I just think with what's going on with United at the minute and the pressure on the owners and the history of how they've gone about transfers, I feel like this summer, due to the protests that have been happening and the mass pressure on them, they will spend a lot of money this summer just to kind of keep us quiet. And imagine we like spent 200 million this summer and won the league next year. For them, that would be perfect because they're like, oh, we've done it. We spent loads of money. We've won you a league. Now you can all shut up. and we'll just crack on with what we were doing before. So I feel like that could happen, and maybe there will be a big name in there. I'm not saying I think it's going to happen, because again, like, I've been watching, since the Glazers have come in, we've spent money to secure financial stability in terms of qualifying for the Champions League and not having to pay off debt that we owe. Obviously, we're going to finish in the Champions League this season, but it just feels different right now. If we don't spend big this summer, the protests will just carry on and carry on and carry on and carry on.
But do you think United would prioritise signing someone like Haaland over Kane?
I prefer Haaland over Kane personally. I think
because he's younger.
Hasn't had injuries, and I think there's an element of excitement, and he's going to be cheaper. Maybe not much cheaper. If we wait another summer, his buyout clause comes in, doesn't it? Which is like 76 million or something. So, but yeah, I don't know. But mate, I wouldn't be surprised if he stays, Harry Kane.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. So, like, he's saying in interviews, like, obviously, I really don't know what's going to happen. I'm a bit nervous, to be honest, about it. Like, every summer, Harry Kane is linked with leaving Spurs, and usually I'm like, shit. Like, no, I'm not usually like that. Usually I'm like, there's no chance he's leaving. It's all like media talk. This time I'm a bit like, shit, because he does look a bit annoyed. And he has said, like, oh, I want to win things, and it's so fair, man. Like, honestly, I completely get it.
Yeah, he's been a great servant to Tottenham. He's been a great servant.
He's been a great servant to Spurs.
Mate, he's
I hope
good.
He doesn't leave. I really hope he doesn't. But
he's so good. He's only going to be at this level for a few more years. He needs to just go and win stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, but then part of me thinks, like, is this him, like, sort of giving, like, firing warning shots to Levy to do something about it? Because, Harry Kane's family are all Spurs fans. He's managed by his brother.
I thought they're Arsenal fans.
Nah, his brother and his dad manage him, and his brother's his agent and his dad is his manager, and they're both Tottenham fans, and he's a Spurs fan. And it's got to the point where, like, if there's talk of him leaving, what's that?
I'm just being an idiot. But there's that photo of Kane in the Arsenal shirt with his hair dyed red.
Yeah, he was in the Arsenal academy.
Was he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
we'll see.
The story is his whole family is Spurs fans. So if it's got to the point where, like, like his family is Spurs fans, and, like, there's, like, talk of him leaving, like, it must be quite bad.
Yeah.
Is my point.
Yeah. How are you going to sell a rebuilding project to a player in his prime who potentially doesn't have much time left at his prime?
Yeah, that's the thing. I think it's all on the manager, really, to get him to stay.
Need to move on, though. It's like,
but this is the thing. Harry Kane, as an individual, as a character, I mean, like, give me your thoughts on it, but I can't see him, like, handing in a transfer request. I wouldn't be surprised if he did, but, like, I don't think he's that kind of guy. I think he's just, like, the kind of bloke that will just, like, try as hard as he can always. He won't, like, stop trying ever. He's just like driven.
There's a difference between wanting to leave and then, like, not being professional and throwing the
yeah, he's a professional. He's a professional.
He's England captain, like, he's a professional man. But he'll go. He's got to go. The club have an opportunity to get a lot of money to rebuild the side in a period when they need to. That's what they need to do. To get a new manager and start fresh. The club have, they've spent money on infrastructure. Like, I know that doesn't matter, but it could be a real new fresh start for Tottenham. They need to clear out the squad, get a bit of money from Kane and start again. Do you know what I mean? New manager, new ideas, and rebuild. It's all about rebuilding.
Obviously, if I had to sell one of the two of them, I'd rather sell Sonny than Kane. Obviously. Well, Sonny's 29.
Is it?
Yeah, and
Oh, I thought he was like 25 or something.
obviously he's in his prime right now, but I feel like for someone that is obviously like a fast player like Son is, his decline will probably be a bit more dramatic than Harry Kane's. And I think Harry Kane has got, he's got a lot to his game. Like he could probably play like a deeper role in his like 30s.
Tom could as well.
You can see the way he can pass the ball. Like,
I don't know.
But like, yeah, obviously I don't think that's necessarily going to happen.
No. But yeah, have you got any final thoughts on Tottenham?
Even though it's been very doom and gloom,
Get this season out of the way.
Yeah, this is the thing with football. I'm always optimistic for the next season. There's a couple of things I'm optimistic about. I don't know if you've heard about Oliver Skip, but he's been really good for Norwich this season. Yeah, he's been on loan at Norwich and he's been really, really good. He's got into the Championship team this season. And he's literally like exactly what we need in the midfield, like someone that can put their foot in, but also like kind of play positive balls forward and just like grab the game by the scruff of the neck, maybe, because like we've literally got no one in midfield apart from Ndombele, who can't complete 90 minutes, who can actually play football.
Yeah, Winks is class.
Winks is, let's not talk about Harry Winks.
We're no Spurs. Winks is shite. But wow, he's
but my final take: get rid of the deadwood. And see what happens.
And get some fresh wood in.
Some fresh wood, yeah.
Get some fresh timber from Jewson on the way to, that place on the way to Warwick.
But I couldn't tell you what's going to happen.
But we'll see.
Yeah. What about you? Anything you want to add?
Not really. I think I mentioned everything really with Tottenham. They just, yeah. I think you just got to remember with Tottenham is that talking to you as a friend and a fan, you are in some really bad form. So like form will come and go, but you're in poor form, but you got to remember like the club have come on leaps and bounds, and you just got to remember that. And yeah, you're probably more annoyed than you would be if you didn't have higher expectations. You get me?
Exactly. Like,
so you got to be thankful of that. It's like, yeah. But
I know.
See what happens.
Like, we've got to a point where everyone knows we should be doing better. But yeah,
there's a lot of competition. You've got obviously City and Chelsea with the two clubs with all the money. You've got United and Liverpool, the historical big clubs, and then like you've got other clubs who are having good seasons. So, and Spurs have had a pretty poor season. So, but yeah. Should we call it a day?
Touch wood. At least Arsenal are still doing worse than us. I suppose.
We'll have to do an episode on Arsenal seriously, because like the demise of Arsenal has been horrific. I'm so glad I don't support Arsenal. It's been horrendous. But you love it.
Well, I mean, usually I do, but we're no better than them really this season.
Well, you're definitely better than them this season.
We're probably a bit better than them, but we're still pretty bad.
Definitely better than Arsenal this season. Right? But yeah, let's do next episode. We'll do a United podcast.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Calm. Right.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it.
Stuck with us this long.
Bit of a long one, yeah. I don't know. I don't know how to check how long it's been. But yeah. Cheers, guys. See you soon.
See you later.